Greetings, this is Charles McCall again with Mentoring Growing Leaders, and we're going to be looking at another short lesson today that I believe will build your capacity as a leader, whatever level of leadership that you're at, so that you can rise to a new level of leadership and you can lead your staff and your volunteers to also rise to a new level of leadership for your church, your school, your business, or your organization. If you like these videos, please subscribe and please click the little bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. So today we're going to look in two sessions, one lesson and one follow-up with this, is about the leadership succession. We're going to be looking at leadership succession through the story of Joshua and Moses, and particularly Joshua. And this is a Bible story, if you're familiar with it. Moses was the original leader who led Israel out of bondage in Egypt and up to the border of the Promised Land. And Joshua had been his assistant for about 40 years, who traveled along with him. And finally, the Lord said, Moses, you're not going to go into the Promised Land, but you're going to choose Joshua, and he's going to be your assistant for all these years, and he's going to be the next leader who actually leads them in to the next season in their journey as a nation. And so Joshua represents next generation leadership, or in this case, second generation leadership. Moses was a pioneer. He was a founder. He was the one who carved something out of nothing. He's the one who set the course. He's the one who set the pace under the direction of the Lord. And he's the one who set the policies and the core values and all of that under the direction of the Lord. And so Joshua was his assistant who helped him implement all of that. But the time came where Joshua rose up to be the senior leader. This is a huge transition. This is a huge issue in churches and schools, businesses and organization, when the founder or one generation of leaders steps aside and a new leader steps in. And so we can learn two key lessons from this. And the first lesson is that Joshua waited for his time. Joshua waited for his time. Joshua, from what I could ascertain through my studies, was between possibly 68 and 78 years old. Now, Moses died when he was 120, and so Joshua was no spring chicken. He was no young buck, but he was a man that was mature. He had experience. He had a good reputation. The people loved him. The people respected him. He was a leader of leaders. And so he was a highly recognized leader and honored amongst Israel, amongst the people. But he knew what his limitations were. Sometimes when a person is at that level where they're a strong leader, they're tempted to break away and form their own organization, their own church, their own business, their own school, their own whatever, their own entity. Because they think, I've got it, I'm a leader. Look at me, I got people that are following me all around and people that respect me. I can do that. They'll look at the leader of their organization, they think, I can do what he's doing. I know, and possibly they can. Possibly they can do better. Possibly they can take it to a whole new level. And so they're tempted to throw a coup d'etat, or they're tempted to break away or cause division in the church or the school, the organization, business, and draw staff away. And so that's common. That's common in the history of churches and businesses and organizations and schools, where an assistant rises up and they have the confidence, they have the ability, they don't feel like they're getting the recognition, and so they decide, you know what, I'm just going to break out on my own. And sometimes that works, but often it doesn't work. And so one of the things, I believe, Joshua respected the Lord and the law of the Lord, and he was willing to submit to the one that God has chosen. So if you want to look at it that way, that's probably one of the most important lessons that we can learn, is that we submit to the one that God has chosen. But also Joshua knew his limitations. Joshua had never led. He had never started anything. He had never led any people out. He had never established all of these. He was a young man when he became Moses' assistant, and so he learned as he went. And so he knew his limitations. I can just say it's one thing to be an assistant, even a high-level assistant, and it's a completely other thing to lead something on your own and to lead your own staff. And so some leaders, some staff and volunteers, they think, I can do that. Well, maybe, maybe not. You can do that. So Joshua understood his limitations, I believe. It's one thing to lead an organization, and it's another thing to be an assistant or even a high level, even an executive leader in an organization. Not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. And so I urge you, wherever you're at, to wait for your time like Joshua did. Wait for the right time, because there's many factors that will be involved in what is the right time for you. And so don't throw a coup d'etat, because when you throw a coup d'etat, when you break away, it's important for you to understand that you sow the seeds for those who will follow you. You've allowed something within you to be created. Rebellion is what it is. Pride is what it is. Independence is what it is. You've allowed that to form in you, and that may really trip you up in the future, because it becomes part of your character, and your character is going to be passed on to your staff, your employees, and even your customers. And so you sow those seeds. And so I want to encourage you, again, the first thing that we can learn from Joshua about leadership succession, wait for the right time. Don't move prematurely. Wait for circumstances to be right. And when you do leave, if you do leave, or if you are promoted, show honor to the one who went before you. Show honor to others, and leave with a good name, and leave with whatever you're doing, whatever your job position was, let it be healthier than what it was before. That's just a general rule of work, that whenever you leave a position, high position or low position, you should be doing your very best at that position, and you leave it better off than when you were there, and you've groomed someone to take your place, and so the organization continues on without any drop, without any hesitation, without any problems, and that's going to be the best road for you. And so I want to encourage you, learn from Joshua about leadership succession. Don't get the mindset that I can do this, I'm going to step in, I'm going to break away, I'm going to draw people off to myself. Just wait for the proper time, and it will be a benefit for you in the future. So again, this is Charles McCall, Mentoring Growing Leaders. We have another short lesson coming up on the second point that we can learn from Joshua in regards to leadership succession. And so again, I urge you to subscribe to this channel and click the little bell button so that you're notified the next time I upload a video. Thank you so much.